And turning our attention to the war in Ukraine, Ukrainians are celebrating the Day of Dignity and Freedom, with President Volodymyr Zelensky saying Ukrainians will not allow their freedom to be taken away. In a video address dedicated to the day, Mr. Zelensky said Ukraine started a new page of struggle and launched its first counteroffensive against unlawfulness 10 years ago. He also added that Ukrainians did everything to ensure that their stars shines in the circle of stars on the EU flag, referring, of course, to the process in motion to join the European Union. United States Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has announced a new $100 million aid to Ukraine following a series of meetings with senior Ukrainian officials in Kyiv on Monday. Highlighting that other allies and partners are also stepping up to the plate, the Defense Secretary also stated that the conflict in Ukraine matters not just to Ukraine, but to the entire world. According to the Department of Defense, the U.S. has provided more than $44.8 billion in security assistance to Ukraine since the beginning of the conflict against Russia on February 2022.
We'll continue to support Ukraine, and so, you know, we talked about the things that we're going to continue to do to make sure that they have what they need to be successful on the battlefield. Also gave us an opportunity to refocus and make sure that we maintain alignment between the operations on the ground and the president's objectives, and so that was a great opportunity. We have said every step of the way that our expectation is that the Israelis conduct their operations in accordance with the law of armed conflict. And we have made sure that we continue to emphasize to the Israelis that they must account for civilians in the battle space. And not only that, but they must do everything, or should do everything, that they can to get humanitarian assistance into the people in Gaza. I announced today another $100 million drawdown using presidential drawdown authority that it'll provide additional artillery munitions, additional interceptors for air defense, and a number of anti-tank weapons as well. So, you know, our support continues, but you're right, other allies and partners are also stepping up to the plate as well.
NATO Secretary General says the alliance is determined to continue its peacekeeping mission in Kosovo and protest Serbs and Albanians impartially. Jens Stoltenberg, speaking in Belgrade, welcomed Serbia's willingness to cooperate in the prosecution of those responsible for the outbreaks of violence in northern Kosovo in May and September. In May, the installation of 4 Albanian mayors in Serb-majority towns in Kosovo led to violent clashes with KFOR troops and Kosovo Serb nationalists, injuring 93 peacekeepers. In September, around 30 armed Serbs barricaded themselves in a Serbian Orthodox monastery near the village of Bianca in the predominantly Serb north of Kosovo. The incident ended in a shootout in which 3 attackers and a Kosovo police officer were killed. One of the instigators of the September 24 incident, Milan Radiocic, was arrested in Belgrade a few days later, but was released. Kosovo is calling for his extradition. Mr. Stoltenberg also expressed support for the EU's proposal to establish the Association of Serb Munici.
In September, we saw a serious outbreak of violence in northern Kosovo, raising concerns that widespread conflict could return to the Western Balkans. And in May, our KFOR troops, as you alluded to already, were attacked, leaving 93 NATO soldiers injured, some seriously, some are wounded for life. Such violent attacks are unacceptable. Those responsible must be held to account. NATO responded swiftly. We have deployed 1,000 additional troops to Kosovo. We sent heavier armor, and we have stepped up patrols in the north. These are prudent steps, ensuring that KFOR continues to fulfill its UN mandate at all times. We will do what is necessary to maintain a safe and secure environment and freedom of movement for all people in Kosovo. We have invested a lot in stability, in peace in this region, in Kosovo, but also in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in the Western Balkans in general. I will also go later on my trip to the Western Balkans to North Macedonia, where we also helped to prevent violence roughly 20 years ago. So we helped to end 2 brutal ethnic wars in Bosnia and Herzegovina and Kosovo, and we also prevented it from happening in North Macedonia, and we are really investing in security in this region because safety for the people in this region, stability in this region matters for our security.
Japanese media is reporting that North Korea may attempt a 3rd spy satellite launch as early as midnight on Wednesday. Tokyo said Pyongyang has notified them of a 9-day window for the launch, which closes at 23:59 local time on 30 November. Japan says it will work with South Korea to strongly urge the North not to proceed with the launch, which they said would violate UN resolutions. Pyongyang has twice failed this year to get a spy satellite into space. The Japan Coast Guard said Pyongyang's notification designated 3 maritime zones, believed to be the areas where debris from the rocket carrying the satellite will fall. 2 are to the west of the Korean peninsula, and the other is to the east of the Philippines island of Luzon. And just days after U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping met in the U.S., we might be seeing another meeting between the 2 leaders again. The White House says both men have agreed to meet again. However, a date was not yet specified. The 2 leaders met on the outskirts of San Francisco and agreed to reestablish military-to-military communications. White House spokesperson John Kirby said they agreed to another meeting but did not settle on a date.
There was an awful lot of very good outcomes out of this meeting between President Biden and President Xi, and the president's looking forward. We're looking forward to managing this relationship in a more responsible way and moving things forward, looking for ways where we can cooperate, but also not being afraid to confront where we can, including on the tensions in the South China Sea. So the president's and his whole national security team is focused forward now, coming out of San Francisco.
The 2 leaders met. Did they agree to meet again or speak again in the near term?
They agreed that they would meet again, but there was no date put on the calendar. What's really important now is that the military-to-military comms will begin to start, and even down to the theater commander level, and maybe even lower than that. So that's the immediate channels of communication that we're looking at getting back open.
At least 1 person has been killed and 3 others injured after a gunman opened fire at a Walmart store in Beaver Creek, Ohio. According to police, the gunman killed himself in the incident that took place on Monday night in Beaver Creek, a city of about 46,000 people. Pictures of the scene showed a phalanx of police cars with their lights flashing and converged on the store. The hospital spokesperson says the injured are being treated at a nearby trauma center. Beaver Creek police say they responded to the shooting and that there is no longer any threat to the public. At least 4 people have died after heavy storms in the southern Brazil caused substantial flooding. The flooding of rivers left several villages cut off, and at least 31,000 people are affected by the rains in Rio Grande do Sul, and more than 1,600 evacuated from their homes. Videos show people walking through flooded streets and using boats to move around. Southern Brazil has faced extreme weather events in recent months, including heavy rains and a devastating cyclone in September that left more than 50 people dead. Meanwhile, residents in the town of Acurei, Brazil's southeastern state of Minas Gerais, has recorded its hottest ever temperature, 44.8 degrees Celsius. This comes as parts of the country endure a stifling heat wave. The record was hit on Sunday and has been attributed to the El Niño phenomenon and climate change. Authorities in South Africa are warning of a heat wave with high temperatures in at least 5 parts of the country this week. According to the Weather Service, heat wave conditions were expected in parts of Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Gauteng, and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. This weather alert comes a week after part of Gauteng province were struck by hailstorms. Authorities are, however, urging people to drink lots of water, take precautions by avoiding exposure to the sun, among other measures. Authorities in Iceland have been taking precautions to respond to a possible volcanic eruption on Reykjavik Peninsula. Since late October, there have been frequent seismic activities in South Iceland's Reykjavik Peninsula. In Grindavik, a town on the peninsula, there is even a 15-kilometer crack. Due to local residents' strong concerns over the possible volcanic eruption, authorities have started to evacuate them. The Icelandic Meteorological Office has predicted that lava could gush out of ground at any time in the coming days.
So while there's an inflow of magma into this crack, it's quite likely that the lava will reach the surface and we will have an eruption. But if the lava flow will stop, it can stagnate inside this crack and there will not be an eruption.
They are always followed by the rescue squad and the police because it's a danger zone. You're not allowed to go there without being escorted by police and rescue squads. And as usual, we cannot possibly say where exactly an eruption will start, but we still consider it more likely than not that there will be an eruption.
Australia's climate change and energy minister says Canberra would argue for stronger mitigation outcomes at the 2023 United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP28, in Dubai next week. Speaking at the Lowy Institute for International Policy in Sydney, Chris Bowen said he wanted the upcoming COP to be about stronger practical outcomes and not just maintaining the status quo, adding that Australia would be supporting a tripling of global renewable capacity and a doubling of global energy efficiency efforts, but did concede that discussions would be harder because of both the Ukraine and Middle East conflicts. COP28 will be held from 30 November until 12 December in the UAE.
I do seriously take some heart from the Sunny Lands Agreement. I think that is, that's a big deal. Even a small deal can be a big deal when it's the United States and China working together on a thing like climate change. So that gives me heart. But it will be hard. The G20 was very hard work, and the geopolitical environment has gotten worse since the last COP. I mean, last COP we were dealing with Ukraine, and now we're obviously dealing with the Middle East as well. So the geopolitical, just general vibe has made those discussions harder. I will say one of the reasons I have some confidence is that the COP president, Sultan Al-Jaber, is doing a good job. I know his appointment was controversial, and I know not everybody saw it that way, but I call it as I see it. And he's constantly on the phone to me, he's constantly sending text messages, how can we work on this issue, what do you suggest we do about that, how can we work the Pacific on this. That's a very active COP president, and he really wants a good outcome. So he'll be working very hard, and we'll be giving whatever support we can in leading the discussions for a good outcome. And we'll see, look, it might not work, but we can leave nothing on the field.
Footage has been released showing the 41 Indian workers who have been trapped in a tunnel in Uttarakhand state for the first time in 9 days. The video was filmed using an endoscopic camera that was slipped inside a new pipe drilled into the tunnel on Monday. Rescuers also used the pipe to give the workers their first hot meal in days. Family members of the workers say they are relieved as rescuers have made progress and managed to establish video contact. Rescuers resumed drilling horizontally through a 60-meter pile of debris to push through a pipe large enough for the trapped men to crawl out. A tunneling expert present at the site said work was being done to create safe areas within the tunnel. The men have been stuck in the 4.5-kilometer tunnel in Uttarakhand state since it caved in early on November 12. Authorities have not said what caused the cave-in, but the region is prone to landslides, earthquakes, and floods.
The works are being done for the augering for the evacuation tunnel, which is being drilled as well. Works are also being done to create safe places within the tunnel. As I mentioned yesterday, this is still an extremely dangerous environment, so we're making it safe for the rescuers in there as well.
Let's head now to New York to join Lumina. That's invited guests to walk through celestial stars at the Queen's Botanical Garden. The art installation, brought to life by multimedia entertainment studio Moment Factory, combines lighting, projections, and sound to create an immersive experience. The exhibition envisions stars descending to Earth, undergoing a regeneration, and ultimately returning to the skies. The trail is adorned with lasers and tiny star-like lights, casting a celestial glow that guided visitors through the garden, with sound effects emanating from concealed speakers. Christian Leroux, Moment Factory and Lumina producers, describes the experience as a dramatic odyssey that transports visitors to feel as though they have stepped into a different place and world altogether.
Lumina is all about meeting the stars. The stars are falling from the sky, and we get to meet them, have some fun with them until they get back home.
A U.S. roofing company is offering customers a special, rather unusual November deal, with new roofs coming with a complimentary AR-15 rifle and a turkey. According to the owner, the roof is going to protect your home, the turkey is going to bring your family together for a nice meal, and the AR-15, well, it's going to protect that family. Roof Ez, an Army veteran-owned and operated company based in Cape Coral, Florida, maintains that the promotion is aimed at providing customers with a comprehensive package that covers home protection, family bonding, and personal security.
We're kind of catching the holidays a little bit different. We're offering a free turkey and an AR-15 with every roof sold. The roof's going to protect your home. The turkey is going to bring your family together for a nice meal, and the AR-15 is going to protect that family. Everybody in Florida to know how to handle a gun safely in case they ever need to use it, because right now the world we live in is a crazy place, and you never know when you're going to need a means to protect your family. Every homeowner should exercise their Second Amendment right, knowing how to handle a firearm in case it ever comes to a point where you have to use that firearm to protect your daughter, protect your son, protect your wife. You know, it's every American, that's our right as Americans, to practice our Second Amendment. We're getting a lot of amazing feedback. We're also getting a little bit of negativity. I've gotten a couple death threats and letters, some calls, some voicemails left, but we're getting mostly good feedback from it.
And in a heartwarming display of festive spirit, Tokyo embraced an early Christmas as hundreds of people donned red and white and gathered for the Tokyo Great Santa Run 2023 in Yoyogi Park. This year marked a special edition of the globally celebrated Santa Run. Participants decked out as Santa Claus ran to raise money to buy Christmas gifts for children battling incurable diseases and receiving treatment in hospitals. The event was made even more special due to its transformation into a lively parade along a 2.5-kilometer route stretching from the Harajuku station to Shibuya. a first for Tokyo since the event was introduced in 2018. As Santas paraded through Yoyogi Park and beyond, the Tokyo Great Santa Run 2023 added a special touch to the season, reminding everyone of the importance of spreading love and warmth during the holiday season. And that's it for the world today with me, Susan Ilian. See you tomorrow.